Well, I managed to break this light here, and so that means today I have to uninstall it and install a replacement light. It also means I have to do some electrical wiring work. Hooray, I guess. Well, good morning. My name is Scott, and welcome to my YouTube channel, StaticCampervan, where I just show you a day in my life of living out of a minivan. And today, of course, I've got to replace that broken light. I still have another one here that works, so I think I'll swap this one over for the broken one. And I've got a new light that I ordered in. While I'm doing that, I figure I will do some other little repairs in the van here. Made a little change to the layout of the van, and it has improved the comfort and workability of the van immensely. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on that just to make sure that I can keep this layout going. But first, I need some breakfast and I need some coffee. Well, I am really not much of a breakfast person. I have trouble eating first thing in the morning. So last night I stopped at the store and bought some yogurt. So that is one of those things that I can eat even if I'm not really feeling like eating solid food. So I bought some of this Chobani Greek yogurt. It's not my favorite brand, but it was the only one that they had that was full fat, which is the only yogurt I eat, and plain, because I actually like the kind of tangy bite to yogurt. So this is the one I bought. Haven't had this in a while. Hopefully I'll like it okay. Now coffee, on the other hand, I am a coffee person, so definitely need to get the kettle on. You know what? I better grind some coffee, shouldn't I? I don't know if you can tell, but I am parked on a pretty steep incline here. The road is crowned really heavily where I'm parked here, and I didn't quite realize it when I parked here last night. So everything is kind of leaning towards me. My stove I prop up, just basically shim it up so that it's level, but having this AeroPress here, it's kind of leaning towards me and it's making me slightly nervous. I guess it's okay. If it were any more tippy though, this thing would probably fall right over. Okay, now I remember why I stopped buying this Chobani yogurts. The lids just don't fit very tightly on them. So just trying to get it in here, the lid keeps wanting to pop off. And I've had a couple of times where I didn't have quite as full of a fridge as I do right now, and it's fallen over, and of course I got yogurt dripping out all over the place. So that's why I stopped buying Chobani yogurt. Why don't they fix their lids? Is this not a problem that nobody else has noticed before? I can't be the only one, can I? A little bad grammar to start out the day there, I guess. Let's get all of this put away. And did I mention that I'm drinking some Fogline coffee? This is my favorite coffee roasting company. And they are local to the area that I'm in. I am in Eureka right now, which is a couple hours south drive of the Oregon state line. So way up here in the Pacific Northwest, and weather's been pretty nice, although today is supposed to warm up a little bit. So I'm thinking if I'm going to be doing some physical things, I don't know how involved I'm going to get with repairs. The electrical stuff should be easy. The other little thing I want to work on may be a little more time consuming and require a little bit more of my back. So I think I want to go out to someplace that'll be as cool as it can be. So I'm thinking maybe we'll head out to Samoa. Samoa or Manila? Which one? Which one? That's the question. So Eureka here is on the coast, but we're not right at the Pacific because the city of Eureka sits on a bay, And if we drive out around to the other side of the bay, there's a little peninsula that has the towns of Manila and Samoa. And I don't go out there very often, so maybe today's the opportunity just to get out of the city. I spend so much of my time in the city not driving around much. So this is the opportunity to get out there, and it'll probably be a nice quiet place to do a little bit of work on the van, and it'll be cooler since we'll be right out at the ocean. Well, you know what? Something tells me it's not going to be that warm of a day today. Just a hunch. So there are lots of places to stop along the peninsula here, but I opted just to go all the way to the end to Samoa Dunes here. This is run by the Bureau of Land Management, and at one time they allowed camping for free out here, but that has been changed. They got rid of that quite a while ago. So this is just a day use area, and it's more popular with people with ATVs and Jeeps and things. They run their stuff out on the sand dunes out here. One of the cool things about Samoa Dunes here, other than just the pretty dunes and all, are these bunkers they have. These were World War II bunkers, I believe. I've been out here before and looked at all the information. I don't quite remember it because it's been so long since I've been out here. But right now we are standing on top of one of the bunkers that looks out over the Pacific Ocean. And we've got more bunkers back here behind us, and we've also got a pit toilet down there, which is not terribly exciting, I know, but I think I do need to dump my toilet. So that was another reason why I thought come out here, because have access to the pit toilet so I can take care of business, not necessarily me using it either. Anyway, and if we look out in the distance there, that's Humboldt Bay that I was talking about before, and then that would be Eureka just on the other side. So not very far away from downtown where I was parked last night. Well, I can't quite believe this, but I'm actually hungry. I think the yogurt just got my appetite going, so I guess I will make some breakfast now. Let's see, I've got a few leftover par-cooked potatoes. It's just about one portion. I've got plenty of eggs. Got this big pack of eggs that were sort of on sale. I got them at Grocery Outlet, so they were pretty good price. Something like $7 for 18 of them. I guess eggs are back down to more normal price. Not exactly normal, but you know, a better price than what they were for a while. And then I got a craving for English muffins for some reason, and these are actually sourdough English muffins. So I treated myself to some. So we'll heat one of these up as well. It's pretty out here. I always forget how pretty it is out here because I don't come out here that often. But of course we've got a little bit of the marine layer going on right now. That may burn off as the day goes on. We'll see. If it does, it means it will actually warm up like they say it's going to, but I kind of doubt it. I think that this is going to be an all-day thing. I think it'll be overcast all day, which is fine by me. I forgot that being so close to the ocean, we can actually hear the ocean from the parking lot here. I don't know if you can hear it, though. Do these look like large eggs to you? They sort of look like large eggs to me, but not really. At least they're happy eggs. Do you know how I know that they're happy? Because they're smiling. See? See the smile? I'm eating my English muffins now because if I wait, they'll be cold by the time my potatoes and eggs are cooked. The wind is blowing through the van here. I'm not going to close the doors. I like feeling like I'm outside. I mean, technically I'm inside my van, but with the doors open, I really am outside, and that's kind of the way I try to plan my day. I want to be outside as much as possible. For years, I had jobs where I worked outside all day long. Of course, that was down in Southern California where it was really hot. So I didn't always appreciate being outside in the heat, especially, you know, when it's 115 or hotter. Then I got a job in the kitchen where I was inside all day. I never got to go outside unless I was throwing out the trash or something. And you know, I missed being outside. Even those real hot days, you know, didn't seem quite so bad when I was just stuck in the kitchen all day long. So nowadays I do everything I can to at least feel like I'm outside all day long, as much as possible anyway. A second breakfast here is eggs, scrambled eggs, some pan-fried potatoes, some yellowbird jalapeno, and then I put some Parmesan cheese on all of it. Pretty basic, I know. So I mentioned this morning that I made a slight change on my layout of my van. And if you are a longtime viewer of my videos, I wonder if you noticed right away what I meant by that. Pretty simple. I basically just moved where I sleep. I have my head on the other side of the bed here. Normally I've been sleeping with my head on this side. I would prefer to have my head over on that side, but I've been sleeping on this side simply because the floor of these Toyota Siennas are higher in the back here, and they kind of slope down toward the front of the van. So if I have my head on that side most of the time, it means that I'm kind of sleeping downhill, which is a good way to get a headache. I was able to sleep this way the last 2 nights simply because I was parked on a kind of a steep slope. The street was kind of sloped upwards, and so it meant that I was basically kind of level. Even though the van was uphill, I was pretty much level because of the slope in the floor and the bed not being level itself. So I need to figure out a way to level out the bed, and it's kind of a lot more involved than I'm making it out to be right now, but I'm hoping to kind of get at that a little bit. But the first thing, well, after breakfast anyway, the first thing I need to do is to tackle this electrical wiring. I'm going to have to run a new wire when I install the new light. So I'm kind of trying to gear myself up to do that. I really don't want to do it, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't actually break the old light here. For years, I have been using this Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. It's an all-natural soap, and they are very strict with the ingredients that they use for their soap, and so it's real high-quality soap, and it's really concentrated, so it kind of seems a little bit expensive until you start to use it and realize that a bottle like this takes months to get through. So it's actually a really cost-effective soap, and I kind of like the smell of the peppermint that they use, although it comes in several different scents. I just like the peppermint the best, so this is the one I usually buy the most often. Every now and then, though, the company goes and redoes their label, and they have this weird label with all these weird sayings on it and stuff. And this last time, they actually changed the name of the soap to Magic Soap versus whatever it was the last time. And this is something that they do often. They just constantly change the labels. But this one has people upset because on the inside of the label, I don't know if you can see that there because of my lighting, but they've got a picture of Dr. Bronner himself. So it looks a little odd. And I guess a lot of people are thinking that there's something untoward going on, but it's just a picture of the founder of the company. So I don't know why people are getting so upset about it, but I still like the soap and I still use it. But several months ago, I started trying out a different product from Dr. Bronner's, same company, and same kind of ideals that they use for the other soap they use for this one. This is also a Castile soap, but slightly different than what they're calling Magic Soap now. So this is Sal Suds, and I've seen this for sale, and I didn't really know what the purpose of it was. I couldn't figure out why is there a different Castile soap. Castile soap is just a vegetable-based soap, so what's the point of it? But I bought it to try it. This one only comes in one scent. It has a fir and spruce smell, and I really like it. And the funny thing about this soap is I use it for everything. I use it for my laundry. It's my laundry detergent now. It's super concentrated. It's as concentrated as the Magic soap is. This one is even more concentrated. The Sal Suds is even more concentrated. So I like that. And then the fact that I actually use it to bathe in the morning, and I use it to wash my hair. I use it as a shampoo, which is not something I can do with the Magic soap. It's not good as a shampoo. Makes your hair really coarse. At least it does for me anyway. So I have not seen a downside to the Sal Suds, so I think I'm kind of switching over to it and using it a little bit more. I was wondering for months and months, I was wondering what's the big difference with the soap? Why does everybody just use the Magic soap and not the Sal Suds? And then I did finally find out there is one big drawback with this Sal Suds, and that is when the weather gets cold, it congeals and just it's rock solid. So you either have to warm it up, or you have to kind of just take a little bit of it out, kind of scoop it out and dissolve it in some warm water. So there's one little downside to it. I finally found out. Now, it's warm enough now, it's all liquidy, so it's not difficult to use. But I guess because of that, I will probably still keep buying the Magic soap just because it doesn't congeal in cold temperatures. It always stays nice and liquid. But if you haven't tried the Sal Suds, I kind of like it, and I like the smell of it too. So I'm going to use a little bit more of it right now for my dishes. And the crazy thing is, I do all these dishes even as greasy as I get them with all the fat that I use, and it cleans up quite easily with just a couple of drops of this stuff. So pretty amazing stuff if you ask me. Well, it appears that we've got a little bit of that marine layer burning off. Got a little bit of blue sky popping out there, a little more sun, a little more heat to go along with that. Still cool though, so that's all right. So I guess I'd better get to the electrical repair. I'm not crazy about doing repairs in general, and electrical stuff is kind of at the bottom of the list. Well, maybe plumbing is the one I hate doing the most, but anyway, this light here, so it technically still works, but I was rerouting the cables for it a couple weeks back, and I busted the back side of it off, and it's supposed to be a tap light. So like this one over here still works. You give it a little tap and it turns on, you give it another tap, it turns off. But I could not get the back of this one back on. It snapped off in one spot, and so it just wouldn't tap on and off anymore. So I realized that the light itself wasn't broke. Of course, it still turns on. I just have to reach back behind and hit one of the little buttons to enable the light to turn it on. And it's just not so convenient that way. I had to kind of mount it a little bit differently. It's supposed to be able to flush mount up, which is the way I had it before. And since I can't do that, I kind of just have it stuck on with a piece of tape here. So I'll probably find another use for that, just kind of as a backup light someplace else, and move the working one over here. And then I did buy a new light, an RV light that hopefully will work a little bit better. And this is it. This is a 12-volt RV light. I did buy it off of Amazon, unfortunately. I looked all over town trying to find something that would be suitable, but couldn't find anything, so I finally just ordered this one off of Amazon. The nice thing about this versus the IKEA tap lights that I'm replacing here is that those IKEA tap lights are USB powered, where this one is 12-volt powered, which means it will tie directly into my solar electric system. And I really shouldn't say that this is electrical work, because it makes it sound like it's something difficult. It's just two wires. It's just a positive and negative. So not a big job. I was thinking I needed to be careful. This is how I broke this light the other day when I was pulling this piece off here. That's how I busted it. And I was just thinking, you know, I need to be careful doing this, but I've already broke the light, so I guess I don't really need to be careful, do I? I'm not going to be able to break it again. Okay, so now that I have that panel off, I'm just going to run a wire up here on top of the headliner and take that down to my fuse box here, which I think I'm going to have to move a couple of things out of the way. You know, it always makes me a little bit sad whenever I read a comment that somebody writes and says something like, I could never do that, you know, I'm just no good at anything, and I could never do what you do. You know, the whole point of me showing this is to show you that I don't have any particular skills at doing this kind of stuff. So if I can do it, you can do it. And if you don't feel that you can do it, please don't say that you can't do it. You know, I'm here to try to hype you up, to show you that you can do this kind of thing, especially with an electrical system like mine. You know, I get a lot of questions about how I have my solar power system set up here. I don't have an inverter, and that, for some reason, that bothers people. A lot of people get very bothered by that I can't plug in an AC powered something, so I can't run a blender or a hair dryer, you know, things that I don't use, that I have no use for. But for some reason, you know, a lot of people think that my life would be improved somehow if I had a hair dryer and could plug it into my solar power electric system. I don't think I need it, you know, and by keeping it as a 12-volt system, just a simple 2-wire system, a positive and a negative wire, that's all it is, hooked up to a battery with some fuses in between. It makes it super easy, so even I can figure this out, and that's why I say I'm doing this to show you that if I can do it, you can do it too. Even this silly stuff like, you know, just trying to remove the sheathing off of a cable. You know, I have trouble with all this stuff, but I get it done. Eventually, I get it done. Maybe I'll turn the camera off for a minute while I do this. Okay, that was only about 10 minutes of running the wire over to the fuse panel here. So I just made a new circuit on my fuse panel. I've got plenty of room over here for that. And let me show you the lights. I did test it out. It does work. I didn't want to do it for the first time and then realize I did something wrong, and then you think, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. So I did test it out already. So this has a couple of different features on it. If you hit the button once, it turns it on. If you hold the button down, it will dim it. Just looks like that works pretty good. Looks like it gets down to about that dim, and then it goes back up to its high setting. So I think this will give me a lot more lights. One of the reasons I picked this one was I liked that it had the on-off button right on the light itself. Although I should point out that the reason that I installed it this way, putting in this other wire instead of just tapping into one of the other wires that I already have over here, because I do have power wires already over here, but if I run a new one, I will be able to put this on a switch at some point, which means I could turn it on and off from a different location instead of having to reach up here. In my old van, I had a switch panel right above my bed, and it made it nice and easy because it, you know, if I needed the lights on, I would just flip it on easily without having to even sit up in bed. So it's probably what I'll install here. I still have that switch panel, so I'll probably eventually use that and set it up this way. So this way I've already got the cable run. And I left it a little bit long, so I've got a little bit of cable to work with because I'm not quite sure about the placement of this light. Don't know if this is going to be where it's going to finally sit. So since I didn't know exactly where I was going to put it, I just put a piece of gaff tape up here. It's kind of like duct tape. And then I stuck some Velcro, double sticky Velcro onto the tape and the lights. So that's holding this up. And hopefully it'll work out and won't fall off. Oh, and then this does have a second feature where if you hold it on, you can have a red light. This one is not dimmable, but I kind of thought that that would be helpful at night, having a red light. I've tried it before with other lights and had limited success with the other lights, but hopefully this one will work because it has a nice diffused cover on it. So I think the other red lights I've had were just too bright. So hopefully this will be better. I think some people say that if you run a red light, it doesn't attract insects quite so much. So I would like that. And then also it's supposed to help you not get overly stimulated. So if you run a red light, supposedly you can go to sleep a little bit easier. That is if you're not looking at your phone all day long like I am. So I don't know if this is going to be helpful or not. Now let me just try to get this back in place. Every time I take this off and try to put it back on, it never seems to want to go back on. So one of these days I'm probably not going to be able to get it to stay, and I'll just toss it out. But it just kind of dresses up the ends here so it doesn't look quite so weird when I'm sitting here with my back door open. Not for me, but just for anybody that drives by. Looks like the marine layer did actually burn off, and we've got some blue sky. In fact, it's kind of pretty over there. We can kind of see the city across the bay just slightly from our vantage point here. So nice and pretty. I guess the weather report was correct. Oh, except that's not very pretty. That's just the outhouse. So I think this light is going to work out just fine. I like the dimmability of it. Maybe it's not quite as user-friendly as I would like, since you do have to kind of remember how to do that. You gotta press and hold to get it to do the dimming. And then, let's see, the red light, I gotta remember the directions. The red light, I think I hold when it's off. Yeah. And one click to turn that off. One click, it comes back on to the regular light. Okay, so maybe I'll remember that. I am kind of tuckered out. I don't know if I really want to get into the whole bed reworking thing. I would like to do that today, but it's going to be kind of a process. So let me make some lunch first, and then I'll think about that, whether I want to tackle that today or maybe another day. Notice I didn't say tomorrow, just another day. I think I'm just going to do a burrito or two. I've got some of these really good tortillas, Leona's tortillas. They're labeled as home style, and they really do taste like they're homemade. They're actually better than the tortillas that I can make myself. Maybe not totally ingredient-wise, but flavor, texture, they're really incredible. I get these at the food co-op here in town called the North Coast Co-op. So I just do just a simple burrito, bean burrito with some cheddar cheese, and I'll add in some salsa here that I got to use up. So I decided to go with 3 tortillas because the tortillas were kind of small, and I don't think I made enough refried beans for them. A little shy on the beans here, so they'll not be very heavily stuffed burritos, but oh well. That's the one thing about these homemade style tortillas is every pack's a little bit different. Some of the packs, the tortillas are quite a bit larger than these are, but this pack is just a little bit smaller. Still, I don't really care because they taste so good and the texture of them is so good. They're really quite incredible. So I refried those beans, that can of beans, most of a can of beans. In hindsight, I should have did the whole can. Oh well. But I just added some chili powder and some of that, or the rest of that salsa, that jar of salsa that I had to season them up. And then I've added some cheddar cheese to these as well. I roll these up. One thing I find is that a lot of people misunderstand the term refried beans. They really should be called reheated beans because you're not necessarily frying them. People think that refried are fried beans, where they're not really. The correct way is just they're just being reheated and kind of mashed up and seasoned. So you could fry them if you wanted to, but really the correct term for refried beans would really be reheated beans but for some reason we call them refried beans, and so that's what people like to try to do with them. But the way I do them, I just heat them up, smash them up a little bit. Not totally, I leave a little bit of texture in mine, and then season them up. And of course I like quite a bit of chili powder. You know, the one problem with refrying beans is it makes your, maybe I should use my pot holder, it makes your pot a mess. So I'm gonna have a little bit of scrubbing to do with this pot, but I don't do these very often, so I guess small price to pay, right? Well, I'm still sort of undecided as to whether I want to tackle my bed project. Right now I'm just going to refill my water container here. I put in this shower valve a little while back, a few weeks back, and it runs through a filter, so I'm kind of pre-filtering the water before it goes through my better water filters here. Well, I think I should probably try to tackle the bed thing. Let me show you what I'm up against here. So this is the area under my bed here, and we're looking at one of the support legs that holds up the bed frame. Now, my old bed had 5 of these support legs, and I kind of had to reconfigure the setup for this van with this bed because of the slope of the floor. Since the back of the floor here is about an inch higher than the other side of the van, that meant that I couldn't just set this bed up the same as I did in the last van. So back when I moved into this van, I didn't have a whole lot of time to get everything out of the old van and into this one. I had to get the old van to the wrecking yard, and I only had about 3 days to do that. So I was trying to get everything done in one day, and so I kind of cut some corners and did some things that I just had to do for time, you know, just for lack of time. So in this van, instead of attaching all 5 of the legs, because that was going to take me some time to try to figure out how to get them cut to the proper size, I set this van up with a support system over here, and this kind of does double duty in a way. This piece of metal, this is called unistrut, and this one that goes up and down, this is actually both a support foot for the bed, so it's holding the bed up, and it is also holding up this kind of temporary shelf system I have here. Not the best thing, and I really wished I would have taken the time to actually cut those pipes that I just showed you and get them done properly, but like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of time. So this is what I came up with, and so this is what I'm working with now. But I think I have a way of maybe doing another little temporary setup on the temporary setup, just so I'm not sleeping downhill. Well, the sun is out, so it's now feeling a little bit warm. Kind of nice, actually. Anyway, this is the back side of that other support brace, and you can see how I've got it holding up the bed frame. So what I'm going to try to do is just take these bolts out and move the bed frame up 1 notch. It should be fairly easy because this unistrut is punched out already. So I've got all these open slots here. I think they call it slotted unistrut or something like that. So all I've really got to do is just try to move this up 1. Each of these little slots is 1 inch up, and all I need is 1 inch. So I'm hoping to do that on this side, and then I'll just shim up the other side until I can get everything out of here, take this thing apart. I got to get the whole bed frame out in order to get the new feet on and get them cut to size. So hopefully this will just be a little quick way to get me comfortable for a little while. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. Okay, I am doing it, but it's not that easy. I did get it raised up 1 awesome inch here, which needed to be done. I think part of the problem back here is that this unistrut is kind of dug into the floor here, and it doesn't seem to be very solid under here, so it's kind of sunk down 1/2 inch, where if it didn't, it would be a little bit more level. So anyway, I'm taking care of that. And while I have this here, and I'm just taking a breath because it's actually kind of warm here. This Unistrut's really easy to work with. It comes with these little nuts basically that fits into the slots here, and they only turn one way. You can see that they're kind of keyed there. They have a little rounded corner on one side. So you get them in to the slot, you turn them around, and then you put the bolt through, and then it locks them in place. So it's a really nice, easy system, and that's all you really need. You just need a bolt, the little nuts that are made for the Unistrut, and then you just cut the Unistrut to size. So really easy stuff to work with, and it's all galvanized, so it lasts a long time. And now I just need to try to get this last bolt in here to secure this down. So wish me luck. Okay, I think I've got it. Let me jump on here, see if it stays up. I don't hear any creaking. That's a good sign. I think it's okay. This side, I just put a wooden block as a shim to shim it up. So it should be okay, at least for a little while. I am planning on actually doing the legs for real, getting those legs, cutting them down to size, and installing them. But I have to take everything out of the van to do that. So that's why I was saying before, I kind of wished I had time to do all this before I moved in. But I guess on the other hand, it's probably a good time to do some cleaning. So I do like to every few months take everything out and clean it all out. So I guess I can do that all at once. But I'm hoping within the next few weeks I can get to a place that has more of this Unistrut material and buy a little bit more of it, build a shelf here on the side of the van, fix the legs. That'll all be one big long day's project. It's always a mess when I pull everything out. If you think about it, you probably saw that the under the bed was packed full of stuff. It's packed all the way from head to toe under there. And the bed is, 30 inches wide by 77 or 78 inches long. And it's, I think, like 10 inches high. So that's a lot of stuff, obviously. A lot of stuff. A lot of it's in bags, so I can just kind of move it around easily, but it's still a lot of stuff. So to take everything out just takes much too much time, more time than I have to do today. And with this today, at least I don't have to park somewhere tonight going up a hill so that I can just sleep comfortably. So I guess that's job done. Maybe that means it's coffee time, I guess. There is one other little change I had to do to get the setup to work, and you may have already noticed it if you've watched any of my older videos. I normally have a heater, Olympian Wave 3 heater that sits on that TV mount. This is just the TV mount I bought at Harbor Freight, and it was really easy because the size of it matched up pretty closely to the bolts that are set to mount an Olympian Wave 3 heater. So I just put the bolts through the existing holes that were already there on the mount, hung the heater up, and it's been great having it there, but I can't fit my head under there. Of course, if I got my head on this side of the bed, my feet fit under there just fine, but apparently I've got a big head, so can't fit under there. So I had to take this off, the heater off, and I just stuck it under the bed. I've got a little bit of room right now because I just did laundry last week, so there's a little bit of extra space just to put that heater down there for now, but that's going to be something I've got to figure out. If I am going to keep my head over here, I'm going to have to find a new place for the heater because I can't set it up any higher. It's got to be a certain distance from the roof of the van for safety reasons. So that means it can't really stay there, and I just don't have a place to put it anyplace else. So probably have to move it back to the back of the van where I had the heater in my old van, which worked okay. I just liked it here because I didn't have to mess with it. It just stayed right there. I didn't have to move it. It just kind of lived right there. But I would much rather be able to have the option of having my head on either side of the bed. That's an important thing, I think. I always sleep on a street somewhere, on a city street somewhere. I never get a campground. I never park in a friend's driveway. I just don't do that. I just always park in a street somewhere. And so because of that, I have to deal with the crown of the street, like I was talking about before. And then I also have to deal with, am I going uphill or downhill? And depending on where I am, sometimes I can only find one spot, if I'm in a busy city. So sometimes I don't have a lot of choice, and so I just have to be able to just move my sheets around and put my head in one direction or the other. I do think that's the more comfortable spot, though. I've got a kind of a natural headboard behind the rear seats, so my pillow doesn't go flying off the end of the bed. Not that that's happened, but I have woken up on this side and my pillow's kind of hanging half off the bed, so I guess it could happen at some point. The other thing is, on this side, I can set my pillows up and just kind of prop myself up to read at night, and that's something I like to do a lot at night. I don't generally read a book or magazines, but I just read something online on my phone. So it's much nicer here because I've got the passenger seat back to lean back on, where I don't have anything on the other side. So I was always kind of just slumped over here against the kind of makeshift shelf that I have, and that's just not comfortable. It's just not comfortable at all. This is one of those things that kind of demonstrates what I've been talking about for years. I hear people say that if you want to live in a van, just move into a van and figure it out later. If you do, you will have little things like this that you have to deal with. And, if you've got time on your hands, if you've got lots and lots of time, then maybe it's not such a big deal. But if you've got kind of weird weather that you're working around and you're working a job, if you've got family obligations, all that stuff to do at the same time as building out your van, it's so much easier just to have your van built before you move into it, at least mostly settled. My setup here, I had figured out what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to kind of do it all. I kind of wanted to live in the van for a little bit until I kind of got it figured out. But really, I should have taken care of the bedside before I did the kitchen side or the bathroom side, because this is now proving to be a bigger job than what it really should have been. If I had just took a few extra hours to set up the bed correctly, I wouldn't have to be scrambling around right now. Not that this is a terrible thing, but I just happen to mention that because I just hear so many people say, just figure it all out later, figure it out later. You can figure it out later, but it's going to be more work in the long run. It's funny, even though I've had this van for almost 6 months now, I still get lots of questions from people asking me what happened to the old van, what did I do with it, where did it go? I actually said where it went in a video when I talked about buying this van, showing this van off for the first time. I sent the old van to an auto wrecker. I mean, you sell it to an auto wrecker. I guess that's the correct way to say that, because you really need to transfer the title if you don't want to be responsible for the van, because who knows what's going to happen to it. Somebody could steal it and commit a crime or something, and if it's still in your name, that's not a good thing. So you sell it to an auto wrecker just to get the title off of, out of your name and into somebody else's name. So that's what I did with it. Went to an auto wrecker, and it's kind of surprising to me that I still get questions about that, even, almost 6 months later now. But I think probably part of it is most of the people didn't watch that video and they didn't hear me say that it was going to an auto wrecker quickly, and that was why I had to do the swap, move out of that van, move into this van really quickly. But I think the other part of it is a lot of people didn't really believe that that van had problems. I guess a lot of people were thinking that I was making it up, but when it came right down to it, just fixing the problems that van had, just to get it kind of roadworthy, that was going to cost, at kind of reasonable estimates, it was going to cost more than the cost of this van. It would cost me more to fix that old pile of garbage than it would to buy, I think, a much better quality vehicle. And you know, this is me, somebody that's never liked Toyota. I've never been a fan of Toyotas, but the facts are the facts. These Toyotas are made really well. You know, most Toyotas are, and the Siennas are made probably better than every other minivan out there. This is why I was looking at buying a Toyota about 4 years ago. I started to look at different vans when I realized I was going to have to buy something next, when that old van that I had, I knew was going to get to a point that it was just not going to be fixable. Now, you know, it could have been fixed, supposedly, but again, it's going to cost a fortune to do that. And if you're one of the people that wants to ask me if I miss that old van, no, I don't miss that old van at all. It was a great van, and it was a great almost 9 years that I had of that van, but I do not miss that van at all. This van, even though maybe it's not perfect, and even though it's not fully built out yet, it's still a much better vehicle. For one, it starts up every day and drives every day. I can drive across town without having to worry about it conking out. I can go up hills with this thing. I couldn't do that with my old van. So, no, I don't miss that old van, not one bit. I just realized my water tank here is only half full. You can probably see the line there just under the ratchet strap. So I guess I better fill this up while I'm still thinking about it. It feels like I have been using a ton of water lately. My water tank here is 7 gallons, and then I've got this jug, this water jug, that is 5.5 gallons. And it feels like I've been filling this up every 2 days. Not sure that that's quite accurate, but that's what it feels like anyway. I don't know why I'm using more water than normal. I guess maybe it's a little bit warmer. I'm drinking a little more water, but that doesn't account for much, right? Maybe I'm washing more dishes. I don't know. Something. But I don't have, I guess this is about half full, so that means I'm going to have to get water later today. With what I had in the jug, it almost filled up the tank. You can see the line there. So I went from just about half full to almost full. Still need to buy some. I don't like to go without a backup of water anytime. This is a cool spot out here. I did not feel like walking the dunes today. Unfortunately, just can't do that. I have done that in the past, but you do have to kind of keep your ears open, because there are always a bunch of sand buggies and jeeps and stuff that are flying through all those little trails. So you got to listen for them, because they're moving much faster than you are. So I'm not gonna go out for a walk in the sand today, but I thought I'd step up here on the little observation deck and take a look out at the ocean, what little I can see. Can't see a whole lot, but what little I can see is pretty nice. So the dunes here are open until 9:30 tonight for day use, but I'm getting tired. I just can't do long days here lately, so I think I'm going to head back into town and think about dinner. What do I want for dinner? I did not stop and buy water. I probably should have, for a couple of reasons. One is I don't like to not have a backup of water. The other is I don't have any greens, and I kind of wanted a salad today, so I was going to stop at the store, buy some water, go into the store and buy some salad greens. Usually I just go in and get a salad, make a salad for myself from the salad bar. Some salad and some tomatoes and all would be really nice right now, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I will do that tomorrow anyway. I'll have to go buy water tomorrow. It's feeling a little bit warm in here, so I'm not feeling like starting dinner right away, although it is just after 7 o'clock. I don't know how it got to be so late all of a sudden, but it is after 7 o'clock now. So I think I'm just gonna hang out a little while before I start dinner, try to let it cool down a little bit. It feels kind of stuffy in here. In fact, let me turn my fan on. I've got these two fans, and one of them I have set just the way it's intended. The other one over here I have on a kind of a dimmer like switch, so I can kind of turn it up and turn it down because they're pretty loud. I don't know if you can tell if I turn this one on. I don't know if you can tell the difference in the noise. It does move a lot more air when it's moving at full speed, but it's really noisy. The one thing I have found though is I don't have enough ventilation to run both of those fans at the same time. So if I have one of them on, I have to leave the other one off. I do have some floor vents that I've opened up in the floor, but it's just not enough. So I can really only run them both at the same time if I've got a door open. I guess I could try to open a window, but that's not good because if I open one of the windows, I always forget to close it. So I try not to do that anymore. Anyway, it's not that bad, and it feels much better just having a little bit of air movement. But I think I'm going to wait a bit before I make dinner. Maybe I'll do some reading. That'll be good. Oh, I forgot the important parts. I was pretty happy when I got to my parking spot for the night here and got in the van with the doors closed and can see the new light and how it's working. I think it's working great. Here, let me turn off my recording lights here, my camera lights. Okay, so those are off. So the only light that's on is the new light that we just installed today. I think this is doing a great job. This is much better than it was before. Get a nice spread of light across my countertop here and even over into the bathroom area. So I like this. I think that's great. It is at its highest dimmer setting, so it's at its brightest at the moment. So yeah, very happy with that. It's been about 45 minutes, so I should probably get to making dinner. If I don't, I'm gonna get a hunger headache. I get those, you know. I did open the door. I just cracked open the door just for some airflow, which really helped. It just cooled the van down in about 2 minutes. Airflow is the thing to do. I opened the door because the door I remember to close. The window I never remember to close, so the door's okay to crack open. Let's get some dinner going. So I normally eat a lot of ground beef, but because I eat so much of it, I'm now kind of sick of it. So I wanted to just take a little break and eat something else. I still need the protein, so I bought some sausages. These are little smoked sausages. They are pork, which I was trying to stay away from pork, but then I got a craving for bacon, and then I bought some bacon and been back on the pork bandwagon. Not very much, just occasionally. But these are different than beef, so this is a nice change up for me. So I'm going to cook up a few of these and kind of make a couple little sandwiches, more or less, using my sourdough English muffins. And I need to get this going quickly because I'm fading fast. I'm getting tired, so better get this going because it's getting to be almost bedtime for me, I think. So these little sausages are fully cooked, so you don't really need to do too much to them, but I like to get a little char on them. I think they taste better that way. But to make this a little bit quicker, I just split them in half because I don't want to be waiting around to eat. So this will make them heat through really quickly. I don't know if I'll actually char them. We'll see. Like I said, I'm getting tired. These days I just have a hard time doing a real long day, putting in real long days, especially when I'm doing stuff. It probably didn't seem like it, but I did have to move quite a bit of stuff in and out of the van, kind of heavy stuff. The bed was kind of silly. I had to kind of pick up the whole side of the bed. Doing that little fix on the bed I don't know, I probably should have just taken the time to fix it the correct way, but I think I did explain that I want to get a shelf built on the side of the van, and so I'm kind of more interested in just waiting until I get the materials for the shelf and I can just do all of it in one day. But it just kind of feels silly to kind of just do this little simple fix. Although I'm probably not going to complain when I sleep well all through the night, will I? And this is it. Nothing terribly fancy. I've just got those little sausages, which I did brown up pretty good, and then a hefty slice of cheddar, a little bit of barbecue sauce, and then kind of my staple pantry ingredient. I guess I keep this in my fridge, but you know, same thing. Sun-dried tomatoes. I got some of those on top. That is like a wow thing. You add this to anything and just makes it so much better. So that's dinner tonight. I'm probably really going to enjoy that salad tomorrow. Just saying. Well, I think I'm going to sign out now. I'm going to take some time, eat my dinner slowly, and then go to bed quickly because I need to. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.